Alright, welcome to 2023 Champion Revisits, and I feel like 2023 Champion releases were like some of the best ever because it just felt so balanced, right? If a champion wasn't that good, well guess what? They got rebalanced to be better, and other champions were just straight up really powerful. So let's kick this off with Absorbing Man. Now this champion is just absurd when it comes to utility. This man has pretty much everything you want for a champion. He has access to Bleed, Shock, Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Armor Break immunity. That is just straight up 5 immunities, which is insane. He has access to Physical and Energy Burst damage that he can switch on and off, which means he can take a lot of different fights because he has 2 forms of damage output. He has vulnerability, he has crit rate increase, which is really good for 7-star champions because of challenger rating. He has access to buff duration reduction for like unstoppables, unblockables, immortalities. He has physical and energy resist for like, ruptures or just any energy attacks. He has ability power rate reduction, and last but not least, regeneration. So let's talk about where he's been used throughout the game since he's been released, and I'll just talk about this briefly because I want to get to the gameplay already, and I'll dive into it more during the gameplay. But he's been used in Alliance War, Battlegrounds, questing, long form content even, and defense in both Battlegrounds and Alliance War, so pretty much everywhere, right? But now it's time for some gameplay of this really strong champion. So first up is this Hercules in Eternity of Pain, and this matchup is really annoying, right? Because Hercules has Infuriate at base, he also has access to stun immunity, and with the nodes, every 15 seconds, he gets an unblockable and indestructible buff. However, Absorbing Man reduces the duration of those buffs by 90%, so it is really strong. There I get hit, but it's fine. I dropped the SP1, but also, did you realize how tanky I was there? This is Eternity of Pain. This is a 7-star Hercules with over 100,000 PI, and he did pretty much no damage to me there when I got hit. That is insane. This man's tankiness is just off the charts, really. And those indestructible buffs are just lasting pretty much nothing. So yeah, he is just perfect for this fight. I drop a nice 12,000 heavy attack and do some pretty good red numbers too. This is just looking really good for us so far. Here he drops the SP1, no big deal, and his buffs go away immediately. So this is just so good for us already. Here I drop another SP1, which is super satisfying, by the way. And yeah, this matchup kind of feels over already because we go back in, get the intercept, get a nice 22,000 crit because of foresight. The buffs go away immediately again. I drop another SP1 and that just does it. So Absorbing Man crushes that fight. He is honestly one of the best options, if not for long shot, but yeah, just so good there. Now we have this Crossbones fight, and Absorbing Man can take this fight by himself really well, but if you have I-Bomb, it just becomes a lot safer to do because I-Bomb gives him poison immunity and increases his forms by 3 seconds. So it is a very powerful synergy because you're giving an immunity to a champion that already has 5+ of them. So it is just crazy stuff, right? And he becomes bleed and poison immune, so he takes biohazard, he can take the recall masteries, he can take just pretty much anything with that poison immunity. Hazard shift, poison, and incinerate, he takes that pretty well too. Pretty much anything he can take with that I-Bomb synergy, it is just really good. And yeah, this matchup has been kind of 50-50. I take a lot of Bane damage here, but keep in mind that Absorbing Man has a really strong regeneration if he is awakened, and that really keeps me in this fight, even though I should be down to 20% health, right? So yeah, that regen is just really good. It's not used as often in Battlegrounds, of course, because you don't want to be that low in the first place, but for questing, for Alliance War, it's just really powerful. And look at that damage as well. 18,000 crit, 22,000 red number there. This is just looking really nice for us. And yeah, we get our regeneration going again. Now we're back to like, what, 70 something percent health. We drop another SP1, we get a nice crit there, and then we crit through block, and that just does it. So pretty good time there. And we were down to like, what, 50% at one point, and we ended with like 80% health. That is just really, really strong. And now we have this Dormammu fight. Kind of unideal because of the evade, right? But the unstoppable is pretty much nothing in this matchup, so that's something at least. There I get the intercept, then I can just try to bait out the heavy attack, drop my own, drop the SP1, and now we're refined, which is what we want to have for the rest of the matchup. And yeah, see, the evade can be kind of annoying for sure. It's like, it's really potent, and yeah, Absorbing Man just cannot handle that at all, really, but it's fine because we can just wait it out. And yeah, the buffs just feed our MD, so that's looking really good too. Here I drop another SP1, and yeah, I get not that many crits, which kind of stinks, but it's fine. And the buffs just keep on, getting triggered, so I get more power for me, which is really, really nice. And yeah, this matchup becomes a bit of a mess pretty fast with like the degen and all that, but Absorbing Man kind of keeps it in control because of his regen. So I'll take it, man. This fight is going pretty good so far. So here he drops the SP2. I just evade that, take a bit of damage, but it's fine. And here I go back in, get evaded, of course. Like, that feels like a 50% chance, not a 25% chance. I drop another SP1, does some very nice damage for sure. Drop another one here. No, I don't. I should have, but I didn't. But then I get the vulnerability up. I drop another SP1 finally, and we do some pretty good damage here. So this fight is going really, really well now. Our health is just being topped up because of that regen. And yeah, this fight is like a good example of matchups that don't seem ideal for him, but he just does really, really well. And that's why this champion is just so good, right? Because he is a very general character. He might not be the best for everything, but he can just take anything, I feel like. And here we have Gauntlet Terrax. It's Gauntlet Terrax. It's one of his best matchups. And this is a good showing of just how crazy he is against these armor break characters, because they just fuel his morph charges, and yeah, it is some crazy stuff. But once we get going, this matchup just ends really, really fast. There's the vulnerabilities, there's a heavy attack, I drop it again, get some very nice crits, and yeah, this matchup is just going really, really well so far. I drop another combo, we don't get any crits, but it's fine. We go back in, drop another combo, drop a heavy attack, and that just does it, man. That matchup is insane because it just fuels Absorbing Man so much, and it's so fun to do, right? But now we have some Hazard Shift gameplay, and you're going to see here that he is just so good for Hazard Shift with I-Bomb. But not only that, whenever we parry, we get armor broken. So if we just spam parry, we're going to get morph charges really, really fast. And it's going to be really funny once we cash them in because, yeah, the damage output is going to be insane to say the least. So here we're at max charges. I drop a combo, we get a nice 11,000 crit, and look at that damage output. It is just unreal. Now, Miles Morales, you can't throw special attacks against, but doesn't matter because look at this damage output. It is just way too good. And yeah, the matchup is now over with a nice 14,000 crit and like 29,000 red number right there. Pretty sweet stuff. 31 seconds. You'll love to see it. Now we have this Juggernaut. We just spam parry again, and he just can't do anything about it because, yeah, Absorbing Man just feels so broken in these matchups, right? So we can just keep on spamming parry, drop a combo, get the vulnerabilities up, and this matchup is pretty much over now because what can you do against that, man? It's just way too good. It is just simply so powerful. Then you go back in, you get the heavy attack baited out, you drop your SP2, and that just does it. It's as simple as that, right? But yeah, that was another 30-second fight. Now we have this Red Skull here, and Red Skull is one of the hardest defenders in the game now. But does Absorbing Man care? No, because without Red Skull throwing a special attack, he doesn't become that difficult to fight. And if you can just burst him down, like we're going to do right here, then yeah, he pretty much becomes a joke. So check this out. The damage output is already really crazy, right? But once we drop that SP2, it's going to be so satisfying because we're going to get the increased crit rate and it's going to be the best thing ever. So check this out. He's going to drop the heavy attack. I drop my own and look at this damage output. Insane stuff. And Red Skull didn't throw a single special attack there. So that was just really, really satisfying. Now we have this armor break lane again where like the opponent just has a ton of armor breaks. It is pretty fun, and yeah, Hulkbuster here, pretty much the perfect Absorbing Man matchup because Hulkbuster has buffs and he has like armor break too. So yeah, this goes by really, really fast because check out this damage output once we get going. He's going to drop the SP1 here, and yeah, we get the power back from the unblockable. He's going to do it again, more power back. We drop a combo here, then we drop the SP2, and look at that. It is just game over, essentially. It's really, really satisfying. And we go back in, drop another combo, and look at those crits, man. They are so satisfying to drop. And that was about, what, 31 seconds. So not too shabby in the slightest. Now we have this Airwalker here. Same thing, Airwalker on his special attacks inflicts armor break, but we're just immune to it. So very satisfying fight coming up. And he drops the SP1, gives us the morph charges, and yeah, we're just looking pretty set here. We drop another intercept. Here he drops another SP1, and now it's showtime because look at this damage output. We drop the heavy, drop the SP2, and look at those crits go. They are so satisfying. Then I go back in and drop a medium, light medium for the vulnerability, and this matchup is now over essentially because look at that damage output. Of course it's over for doing that much damage, right? It is so satisfying. But now we have this Entropic Prowess node with this Vision Arcus, and this is just crazy. Like Vision Arcus, you know, Airwalker, Null, Terrax, all these armor break champions are just perfect for Absorbing Man, and he is by far the best option for these fights. So that's why he's so good, right? Because despite him being like very general too, he still is the best at something in the game, which is still very, very valuable. So here we drop a combo, we get the vulnerability up in a bit here, and yeah, it's looking pretty good, but check this out. It's gonna look even better now. So we drop the heavy attack, drop the SP2, a nice 46,000 crit, and that was just game over. That was so crazy strong, and yeah, obliterated. Now we have this Heimdall fight. This is just a pretty straightforward like boost armor up node, but they do have unblockable, so it can go south pretty fast. But then again, we just have so much tankiness and like so much regeneration to access, so if you get hit, it's not the biggest deal really, and that's why he is also just such a great questing champion. And I'm not talking just like story questing, I'm talking like Necropolis, Alliance Sword 2, just those like type of quest game modes he is perfect for, right? And yeah, here we can just, you know, use the block to our advantage and get those very, very nice crit through blocks, drop a heavy attack, does some pretty nice damage there as well. And yeah, we are just looking very good for this matchup. We get some nice crits there, then it zeroes out because of the node, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. And look at these crit through blocks. They are just so powerful, man, and he can do that in any fight. So it is just really, really nice. If the opponent just like, I don't know like where you have to use it, but he can do it at least. For example, like Do You Bleed? He can do that fight because of his crit through blocks. He can do like so many different things in such weird ways, but it's honestly just so much fun as well. And that was a nice 20,000 crit there, and this matchup is pretty much over. So very, very clean fight, like 1 minute and 14 seconds, not too shabby at all. Now, keep in mind, I feel like Absorbing Man's damage output might not be Tiger level or anything, but it's good enough to pair with his utility, right? Because he is the king of mystic utility besides Doctor Doom, I guess. But pair that with his pretty decent damage output, and you just have this very, very broken character. So that's why I never complain about his damage output, because with the utility he has, you can't complain about him at all, really, because he just has everything you want for a champion. So we go back in, get the intercept, and we drop another SP1 right here, and look at what happens here. 0 damage across the board besides that one very nice crit, but that was pretty annoying, right? but we go back in, get another vulnerability going, and this matchup is going to be over pretty soon because we drop a heavy attack. Doesn't do it there, but it's fine. We go back in, and look at what happens here to end the fight. A nice SP1, he's still alive, but the crit through block does 20,000 damage plus, and that was just so satisfying. But now we have some boss fights to end us here. We have this Namor fight with Biohazard, so pretty standard stuff, especially with I-Bomb, so should be pretty straightforward. You gotta watch out for that timer though. You want to throw a special attack during that timer so you don't get degen on you. But yeah, just perfect for this fight because of the bleed immunity, and whenever he is immune to a debuff, he pauses his forms for 3 seconds. So any like bleed matchup, any shock matchup, incinerate, cold snap, even poison with the synergy, any of those matchups, he just is crazy good for, right? Because there is no need to intercept, you just pause the forms the other way. And of course, like in basic matchups, it can be kind of annoying to pause the forms, but you kind of get used to it, and once you like get down light intercepting, it honestly becomes pretty dang fun. But here I dropped another SP1, we get no crits, but it's fine, and this matchup is essentially over because look at this damage output now. A nice 22,000 crit there, we go back in, we get another intercept going, and this just does it with a nice 43,000 burst of damage. Very nice to see. Now we have this Annihilus boss, and this is just like another fight where he has the power to just burst it down really fast because of the armor break that goes onto him. These type of matchups are just so fun to do with him, and there is no one better for it, of course. No one does Annihilus as fast as Absorbing Man because of that one ability with the armor breaks. It is just insane stuff. We go back in, we get the vulnerabilities up, drop the SP1, some nice damage here, and yeah, this matchup is looking pretty good already. And yeah, the vulnerabilities are stacking up, the charges are stacking up as well, so that means more vulnerabilities. We drop another SP1, 52,000 burst, 24,000 crit. What even is this champion anymore? He is just so crazy strong in these matchups. Now we have this Vision Arcus, yet again, just perfect for this fight because of his access to, you know, destroying any armor break matchup in the game. And yeah, Vision Arcus here just doesn't stand a chance really. It's just inevitable, right? But yeah, the morph charges are building up already. Vision Arcus is playing kind of passive, but it's fine. We drop another vulnerability, so we're looking pretty good so far. We dropped the SP1, some nice damage here. It's power shield though, so keep that in mind that it is really inflated, right? But even those crits on the 0 damage hits are pretty dang strong too, because the red burst damage still does occur, so that's pretty cool. We drop another SP1, and that just does it. 108,000 burst damage, that is just unreal. And now we have this Weapon X boss, and this is just, you know, a simple Weapon X fight, has no damage node increase. It is just as standard as it gets, and this is a good example of Absorbing Man being really good for a matchup, but just not the best at it, right? And he is in that same situation for like a lot of different matchups because of how much utility he has, but like I said, he's also the best at some fights too, and that's why he is such a good champion, because he not only is so general, but he's also really powerful in his niche. So yeah, Absorbing Man just crushing it still, and we got some pretty nice damage here. We drop the heavy attack, get some nice red numbers there, and so far so good for this matchup. We get the vulnerability up, so we're going to do some even better damage now. And yeah, so far so good. Just a really fun matchup, and the red numbers help us bypass the regen. So yeah, like not the best counter for sure, but a pretty good one nonetheless. And we get another intercept, we get another vulnerability, so we're just looking pretty good here. Drop a combo into the relic, into the heavy attack, into the SP1, and yeah, some pretty nice damage there, a 14,000 crit, and this matchup kind of feels over already. So we drop another heavy attack into another SP1, and yeah, another 10,000 crit there, another vulnerability about to go up, so we are just chilling for the most part. Here he drops a heavy attack, I drop the final SP1, and that just does it. So that was a really fun matchup. He just works for so many different like characters, right? And so many different nodes, and he is the best at some of them as well. So Absorbing Man for the first ever 2023 revisit was just a great way to kick off this series. So let me know your thoughts on Absorbing Man, and yeah, that's about it for me.